Hi, everyone. This is Hillary.
And this is Dale.
And welcome to episode 2. We still don't have a name, but we want to let everyone know that we are going to include a poll in Spotify. The tech details I'm of, but Dale will somehow figure out how to put a poll up. So we'd love your input on naming this said podcast. So welcome back to our second episode of Getting to Know Us a Little More. And I think it's going to lay a really good foundation and platform for us to spring off of. What do you think, Dale?
Yeah, do you want me to list the names that you have brainstormed?
Yes, list some of them. I think we need something more catchy, but yeah, go ahead.
Everyday Chronicles, Everyday Voices, Everyday Epic, Everyday Journey, Unscripted Beginnings, and a little plug for my favorite, Hill and Dale Unscripted.
The problem with podcast names, I've learned, is that most names that you think are original and that you're so great for thinking of are already taken.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts.
And I never realized how many podcasts there are. And I also never realized, how do you find out if something is already named that? I've just been searching Spotify. How do I know? And what if somebody comes back and sues us or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're just two tired parents talking into some mics. I don't have money for suing for names. So anyway, at any rate, any input is appreciated and we'll get a pull up. On that note, thanks everybody for all of your feedback. It was really exciting to hear from some of you who we haven't spoken to in quite a long time. And we even have some listeners from across the pond. Shout out to our UK friends. It's really cool. We can see where people are listening in from. And that made me really happy. It was a nice dopamine boost for me. So thanks everyone. And Dale, you want to touch on some of the feedback that we got from people?
Yeah, I think we got a ton of really positive feedback, which is really exciting. Everyone says that Hill has a perfect podcast voice.
Which I don't understand, but anyway.
I mean, you do. You're good storytellers. And then listed here, we had lots of requests for episodes on parenting, but then we also had some feedback that parenting isn't for everyone, which is also understandable. Hopefully we'll have
completely
a mix of things. People are excited about listening to everyday normal people and guests and hearing folks' stories. And I don't know I didn't see this one. Want to hear more about menopause.
Yeah, I got a couple people message me through Facebook that want to hear more about menopause. And, to be clear, we are not medical providers, but I do have menopausal symptoms I can talk about ad nauseum. So, is that the word? Yeah. So, yeah, even a couple people want to hear about menopause, which is kind of cool. To that note, also, Dale, we have a few really exciting guests lined up, and I'm not going to spoil it, but you all are in for some treats. And just to touch on a couple other things, when people reached out with feedback in various ways, they had some questions about, how we thought about doing this, why, and basically why. And so I thought about it some more, and it's something really cool for you and I think, Dale, to do, to reconnect in the middle of parenthood and just life. Parenthood or not, life is wild, especially with everything going on currently. And I also think it's something we've talked about for a long time. And I needed something, for those of you who don't know, my mom passed away a couple months ago, and I've really been struggling with that. And so this is a really good way for me to reconnect with people and feel good about something and excited. I'm excited to do this. So I appreciate everybody listening. It really gives me a boost.
Hill has been very excited. I think that her energy has gone up at least 110% every night. She's like, what are we doing tonight? Should we plan? Should we do this? Should we do that? And it's awesome. But yeah, you're hot as a podcast host. Man.
Well, thank you. I'm feeling aged. And on that note, I had our first new daycare parent meetup on Zoom tonight. And let's just say I was, number one, by far the oldest parent on that call, which is fine and nothing new.
But you tell they didn't even all have their videos
Well, the people that did have videos on looked very young, very young. And it was really just cool to see the variety of family structures of other kiddos going to the school. So it was really interesting. I learned a lot.
That's very good. What else did you learn today?
I also asked them if they had an old parents club, and they all laughed. And I was actually serious. I was not kidding. I told them I was tired. And I asked if they had a gay parents club, because they said they're starting a father's club. And I said, do you have a gay parents club? And I caught myself trying to explain why I was asking that. And I said, not to exclude anyone, but actually maybe it is to exclude people. I don't know. I got in my head about it after I asked it. I said, okay, then it could be like a pride group and allies. And then,
Well, it might be that if it's the gay parents group, it's me and you. So
oh,
it
good
would
point.
have to include
We already
allies.
have our own group. That's true. So I also asked the leadership of the school if they needed community advocacy. Don't know when I would actually have time to do that, to present to their higher ups about this proposal. I'd be willing to do that.
I could see you presenting to the higher
Oh,
ups.
wait, before we move on, one fun thing, I went down a TikTok rabbit hole today.
This is what I was asking about earlier, actually.
What?
When I said, what else did you learn today?
Well, in the middle of my workday, I needed a break. So I started, as one does, on TikTok and social media. And there was a guy who said, have any of you seen the official Nutter Butter, as in the cookie, TikTok account? And if you haven't, go to it and then come back to my page and let me know what you think. I think we should put up a poll. Has anybody seen this? Because it is wild. And did you find out it was officially a thing?
I think so. I mean, I saw the TikTok videos and I was like, there's no way this is the real Nutter Butter company
I felt like I
because
was on shrooms or something. I mean, I've never done shrooms,
I mean, they're
but
like the cookies with eyes and mouths, and
shrimp mustaches.
it's really weird. It's
They
so
even
weird.
have a TikTok of a Nutter Butter cookie crime scene in a house.
Yeah, it sounds really silly when we say it out loud. You have to check it out.
Can we link to it? Does that a thing?
I don't know. I'll have to.
Okay, if we figure it out, we'll link to it. But I would love to know how you feel about this official Nutter Butter TikTok account that I was
Listen, she
dead.
was so down this rabbit hole that I had
It's so
walked down the
funny.
hall and said, like, babe, are you in a call? And she didn't hear me. So I went back to doing what I was doing. I get a text message from Hill. I'm like, wait, are you on a call? And she's like, no. And I walked down there and she's just watching a video after video. And I'm like, okay, I have to go back to work. And then I just hear her cackling locked in
It's the
her room,
best.
cackling out loud about the Nutter Butter account. So then I went down a deep dive of like, is this real? And I found an article from Today, like Today
Wasn't it
News.
like a major news
Yeah.
outlet? Yeah.
And they reached out to Nutter Butter. Nutter Butter commented, so it makes me feel like it is real. But also, we're like a month late. Like apparently this was a big
I'm
thing.
old, and they're
For like
lucky I'm
4
only a
weeks.
month late. And I think you really have to dive into the comment section. For any of you that need a boost or feel sad, go straight to that TikTok account and you're going to feel a lot better in a weird way,
But maybe put it on mute.
in a
if
kind of
you're like-
psychedelic kind of way.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll link to that.
Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we're really struggling about who to invite for as our first guest.
Because we have so many options.
And we are just getting set up on how to actually do this.
We're legit. We have these mesh thingies now over our mics.
P-pop things.
It's called a P-pop?
I think so.
Sounds weird.
Anyways, so we're in the middle of getting it all set up to do remote interviews because that would be really helpful. We're very close, but we decided we had so much fun last time, right? So we wanted to get another episode out right away. Literally, Hill's been begging me every night since we did the first one to do work on it.
Yeah, so, I've been planning episodes in Google Docs, so I hope y'all are ready for what you've got coming your way.
So techie.
I know. Google Docs. I probably didn't even know how to use a Google Doc before I met you.
Yeah, I don't think you did. Okay, so we've named this episode Getting to Know Us.
Yeah, I think that's what we decided on.
And so we wanted to just share a little bit about us and how we got to like where we are right this second. Hill asks me this question all the time. Would you ever have guessed that we would be blank? This happened all like at every turn of our relationship, don't you think?
Yes.
You're like, would you ever guessed you would have gotten married?
Yeah, life's wild.
That like this happened, and then would you ever have guessed that we went through a global pandemic and still are? And now we are married in the burbs with a child.
Yes. And have been together about 9 years. Mm-hmm. Shocking.
So anyways, we're going to give you a little background on us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do a fun fact?
Or should you kick it off? You go.
You give a fun fact about
Okay.
me. I'll give a fun fact about you.
Okay, you give a fun fact about me. Go.
Okay. Hill every night does her computer work after she works on her computer all day. And
It's not like real work,
no, but
to be
she needs to
clear.
do it. She like needs to get her computer and she needs to be like tippy tapping on her computer doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a person that reads every email that she gets because she looks at all of the sales and
Yes.
knows what's going on and
Yes.
then subscribes to every newsletter. So if you have a newsletter or something like that, just send it to Hill's Way. She'll be on your subscribe list
Yes.
and then reads every newsletter every night. So this is a
Yes.
fact that people don't know
I've
about
gotten
Hill.
behind. I am subscribed to so many that I can't keep up, but I would love to put in the show notes. We're a fish, show notes, a list of my favorite free email newsletters, digital newsletters, whatever it's called, that I'm obsessed with. Fun fact about Dale, which makes my fun fact seem like
You can give any fun fact. You don't have to do
Dale's
just one.
obsessed with Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you're obsessed with Survivor. How did this start?
Well, I watched it with my mom when it premiered.
Like 40 years ago? You're not even 40.
It was 25 years ago.
God.
And I don't know, I'm into it. I want to be on the show. Do you think I'd be good?
I do. What challenge do you think you'd be really good at?
Um,
And I'll tell you what I think you'd be really good at.
any of the ones that you have to like throw like a cornhole kind of thing. Like you have to
You are
throw
good
and
at
balance,
softball.
or you have to throw the bean bags at like any aiming. Like you have
I
to have a
think you
pretty good
would crush
aim.
all the puzzle ones.
I do like a good puzzle.
Yeah. So Dale's obsessed with Survivor, and I'm convinced you will eventually be on the show. I'm just not sure what that looks like for our family and you with your bad knees, but maybe you'll be on and win, and we'll be
I mean, we're
millionaires.
on season 50 next. I have to, no, we're on season 47 right now, but they're already casting for season 50. So, like, I feel like I have to get on it soon or else it's good. They're just going to say it's over.
You've got some knee pain right now that I think would inhibit any tryout.
You don't
But
know
we'll
that.
discuss. We'll discuss. I think you'd win, knee pain or not. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty, Dale, because we're going to keep this to 30 minutes and we're already not on time. We're shooting for shorter episodes just to make it more digestible. So, moving on to the juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How do we meet?
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'm going to give the abbreviated version. I had promised myself that I was going to be single for a year and really do the hard work, go to counseling, work on myself. If any of my exes are listening, I owe all of you an apology because I was a turd. I was not great. And maybe someday we'll have one of my exes on as a
Mm-hmm.
guest.
I'm
If
sure
you
we
if
will
you're
have
listening, you're an
exes
ex and
on.
you want to be on the show, feel free to reach out. So I had promised myself I was not going to be that person to jump into something again and just really work on myself and figure out what I wanted to do. And I met Dale that night at a hot flash dance in October of 2015.
What's a hot flash
Uh,
dance?
Well, it's owned locally, and I'm not sure all of the specifics other than when it originated. It was called Hot Flash because it was for like lesbian women over a certain age. Hot Flash referencing menopausal. I see a theme here. This menopausal symptoms of hot flash. And so, but they let all people in, all ages, people who identify in all sorts of ways are able to attend. I'm not sure if it was always that way from the start, but it is now, and it's not called Hot Flash anymore. So it was a Halloween, like a costume night, and that's when I met you. I found you on Facebook, I think, and we continued to just have like a very casual thing for quite a few months, and then decided that we should go on a date where it wasn't surrounded by like alcohol or the club scene. Like I go to a club
Hot
scene,
flash.
like a bar scene, I guess, and just really sit down and see if we had things in common. And the first date did not, I would say, go very well in the sense that we didn't really get to know much
Are you
about
kidding
each other.
me? You grilled me.
Well, yeah, I think I asked about like a 5-year plan. And maybe, this is why historically many relationships have not worked for me. But maybe I was just nervous. And all I knew how to ask for was
It was
like,
wild. You
yeah.
asked me a lot of questions, and
Hmm.
I just answered them the best I could. And then, but it was positive. You left and you were like, I got a good night kiss.
In my Prius.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
you called pre.
Yeah. I miss my pre. Anyway,
Why?
I love that car. Little did we know then, children were never a discussion
Yes,
initially.
they were. Our relationship has taken such a roller coaster. You don't, okay. So we are like casually hanging out, and then we go on a date, and then we kind of just like jump in all in, right? Like from then on, we spent a lot of time together. Like, I think that
As you haulers do.
yeah, I mean, I think we went on our first date in December, and by May or June, I had moved into your house.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, but like, there was that one time that you wanted to break up with me. I didn't know this until after.
And for those of you who don't know, I'm quite a bit older than Dale. Dale was in her 20s, and I was like, what? That
Okay.
was very hard for me.
Oh yeah, and was I just like, oh, what, like a rotten teenager?
No.
I was an adult. I was in my late 20s. Anyway, so she sits me down and she says, like, Dale, what's your 5-year plan? And I was like, I don't know, like, be a better person, make more money, like, I'll like just be happier or whatever. And she goes, well, do you want to travel? And I was like, yeah,
Valid
sure. I
question.
want to travel. Who doesn't want to travel? And she goes, well, if you want to travel, well, I'm thinking about having kids, so this just won't work. This just won't work. What do you mean? You told me I wanted to travel. And then she goes, what'd you say? He said, we're just so different. And I was like, wait, how? Like, I don't understand. And you said, well, you like to run, and I'll only run if being chased.
I mean, maybe that was like my insecure, like chubby girl thing where I didn't feel like I could keep up, like with hiking and all like
Mm,
I don't know. I was not, and probably am still not the best at communication. Clearly,
it was very
clearly.
funny. She was like, you have a dog. I don't. Mine died.
She did die, R.I.P.
Right.
P
Is
Dog.
that?
R.I.P. Prissy Dog, the teacup chihuahua. The best dog that ever lived.
I wish I could have got to meet her.
I know. That made me sad. So kids were, once we got past that, once we got past the me trying to wiggle my way out of something that was scary for me and maybe learn how to communicate a little more and maybe go to therapy and work on my issues, we ended up getting, and kids was sort of an on and off discussion. I was always a no, but then maybe I was a yes. And maybe some of you identify with or without kids can identify with how challenging it is to just make a major life decision like that. Society, pressures people. There's this pressure to be like, oh, start a family, get older, get a job, get the house, the white picket fence, the American dream. And so I was always really unsure. And we would say to each other, okay, what percentage are you? And I'd be like 60-40, 70-30, 80-20.
I feel like we were mostly 50-50 though.
Yeah.
We were 50-50
Of
for like
averages, yeah, totally.
mostly
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah. I would love to hear how some of you ended up deciding. Did you always want to have kids? Some people are just innately like, I want to parent. I have this nurturing side to me that I want to gift to the world, and I was not
That
that
was not
person. Yeah,
us.
that
Yeah.
was not us at all.
Which we do. We are, I think, good at parenting and nurturing. But like, I
A dog, a cat.
we're figuring it out with the
I mean, we're
child.
responsible for a little human. I'm
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
it's crazy. Oh my God. But the whole time it was 50-50. And then even like, so then Hill's getting older, and she had a cutoff of like in her brain, she didn't want to have a kid. If we had a kid, she didn't want to have a kid after
I don't even remember what I said. 40?
41,
Yeah,
maybe.
41. I can't
I think
remember.
it was 41.
Yeah.
So like the timeline was having to like get closer and closer, but it was so hard to make the decision.
Yeah. And then when we got married, it was 38. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go get a fertility test and see, what are the chances I could get pregnant? Because I would be the one carrying this baby. I mean, that was, Dale had no interest in carrying a child. And so I went and they were like, yeah, you're good to go. Like, you have a lot of eggs. I think this just should happen sooner rather than later. I said, okay, Dale. So after we get married and settle down, let's maybe think about giving this a go. Well, the universe had some other plans, right?
Yeah, there was very little settling down.
Unfortunately, after that time, I ended up being diagnosed with cervical cancer and with a routine PAP that I had done like the week of our wedding, came back a week later.
Didn't we get the results like as soon as we got home from?
From no, we got a week. It was before we left for honeymoon. We waited to go on our honeymoon. So it was like a week after we got married. I got the phone call that, yeah,
the day we got back to work.
that I had cervical cancer, unfortunately. But fortunately, I went in for my routine PAP. They caught it early and were able to do, a hysterectomy. And so my shot at obviously carrying a child was no longer. And interestingly enough, for those of you who have had a hysterectomy, I had to actually sign a form. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Saying that I understood that I would no longer be able to get pregnant without a uterus. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that there were people that may not know that. So yeah, it was kind of a blow to me. And Dale and I researched, what would it look like to adopt? Well, there are a lot of barriers to adoption, wait lists,
Mostly
cost.
expense, yeah.
It's so expensive.
Finance your child.
Yeah, it's very, very expensive. And so if we were going to make anything happen, it was going to be Dale, unfortunately, because you wanted nothing to do with that. Tell me more about that.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? In college, all of my friends, you could ask like Meg or Kate or Megan, they were all like, I would never want to be within 100 miles of you if you ever got pregnant because I'm so emotional and so like weepy, and like my PMS was so bad growing up that like literally everyone was like, there's no way you could ever be pregnant. You would be miserable. Oh no, I think it's funny.
Little baby,
and then I
emotional
get pregnant
Dale.
and it wound up being like
Yeah,
a pretty easy pregnancy.
Yeah, you were pretty even keel. Let's circle back. So we eventually decide, you know what? Let's just give it 3 tries. We're going to give it 3 tries. And if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. I think we were still not 100% when
I don't think we ever got to 100%. No. I mean,
obviously I'm 100% now because we have the best little baby in the world. But so we're going to give it 3 tries. So how do we start, Dale? How do we start the process?
We looked into places we could go because you had to have like a fertility doctor.
Right.
And there were a couple options. We went with all of the options local to us were like good.
Yeah.
So we went to the one that had the best coverage with our insurance, which was surprisingly more than we had thought.
Yeah.
We had budgeted to spend more on making a baby.
Yeah. And then you had to get all the baseline blood work and just make sure that you were in a place where you could carry a child. And then we had to, in order to purchase sperm from a sperm bank, you have to, I think it's FDA regulated. We had to meet with a psychiatrist.
That was through the fertility. In order to do the IUI, or to try and get pregnant using donor at all, you have to meet with a psychologist.
An IUI is, what's an IUI, Dale? Intrauterine insemination. So we met via Zoom with a psychiatrist or some sort of.
She was nice though.
She was, and gave us a lot of information on like when to start talking to your child about where they came from. And actually, interestingly enough, it was 2 years old, which seemed young, but I get now, kind of.
I don't know. I also that's the only thing I remember from that meeting.
Yeah, maybe they just want to make sure people aren't kind of coming from a maybe not mentally healthy place. I don't know.
But it's also like another, what was it, $250 or $500?
Yeah, it's another hoop, another expense and another hoop. And then after that, we started, this sounds so strange, shopping for sperm.
And I think that the only things that mattered to us were like, the way that we thought that Ozzy could look like both of us were to like prioritize Hill's ethnicities and
Mm-hmm.
try and find somebody that had freckles,
Yeah.
which we didn't do. No,
No.
we did find one person. And so we bought the last thing of sperm from that one
Oh, that's
person.
right. That's right.
Fuller. They have weird
Yeah, they like give
names.
them weird aliases,
Uh,
obviously.
and so yeah, like everyone just goes like, okay, you're good to go.
And I also didn't realize how expensive one vial of sperm is.
$800.
It was like $850. And like, what? And so it ships to us, okay? And we have a video of this. So it's the one day where the Pacific Northwest is having a heat dome. And what does the delivery driver do? But leave the cryo tank with our one shot, no pun intended, of $850 sperm on the porch in a cryo tank in 116-degree heat.
It's
I'm sorry.
cryogenically, like it's.
But I don't know that right. But I don't. Was
It's in a
cryogenic
tank.
made for a heat dome?
I think that it's made to stay frozen.
Anyway, we digress. We have a video of us pulling the vial of sperm, out of this cryo tank. If anyone's interested, reach out. We'll text it to you, email, whatever. And then we had to thaw it in a water bath.
And the amount of sperm that comes in these things is like literally 2 drops.
It's like the size, the vial's like maybe 2 inches tall, like that.
I think smaller.
It had a lot of
cap on.
Yeah, 2 inches with a cap on. And then it was, I'm like, that's it? Like, that is it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it was messed from the heat. And so, needless to say, we tried.
It was fine.
I don't know, Dale. We tried to inseminate at home, which is a whole nother story.
It's too stressful.
It did not work.
It didn't work.
Probably for the best, considering things may have been wrong with that sperm after the heat dome.
Oh my God.
So that didn't work. So then we decided to reach out to the
we decided to do an IUI.
Yeah, through a provider who was awesome in our area. And it worked. And I was able to actually watch the insemination, which was really cool. Obviously, I asked you if you were okay with me standing and watching. And the doctor was telling me about how it worked. And so it was very cool. It looked uncomfortable, but was it uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. Very cool to see. And Dale was a rock star. And if you don't mind, like, speaking a little bit about how you felt about being pregnant and what your experience was like.
Yeah, not my favorite. Wouldn't do again. Wouldn't recommend.
Dale!
It sucks. It ruins your body. Like, you're uncomfortable for 9 whole months. Even though my pregnancy was so easy, like, your boobs get bigger and they're uncomfortable, and your whole body is just, you don't feel like yourself, and you're just uncomfortable, and like everything is hard.
Yeah.
I don't even know, and I had such bad, what is it called?
Heartburn. GERD.
I couldn't even have like a fizzy water. I drank water for 9 months.
You spiked it with cranberry juice.
You got to go out and party hardy.
Sorry, Dale. I had like a DD for 9 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds terrible, but
hey, at least you lived it.
One of us had to have fun.
Mm-hmm. I probably had my fun before I got pregnant.
Probably.
I don't remember.
How did you feel about like a queer looking person all of a sudden having this growing belly?
Yeah, the whole thing is so weird thinking about, the thought of like growing something inside of you that is then going to live outside of you it's
some alien shit.
Yeah. It's
once weird. He started moving, I was like, holy shit, that is the wildest thing I'd ever seen.
It is very weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me uncomfortable just thinking about that. And then also, like, obviously it's like a very feminine and like, motherly and nurturing and like all of these things that I don't typically identify with. Mm-hmm. So it was just like felt like I was taking one for the team.
Oh, thank you. And we kind of collectively decided that you would grow your hair out, right?
Yeah, I had always wanted to grow my hair. I wanted to be a beach boy and see if I could look like a surfer dude.
My God.
That was the goal the whole time.
You pregnant surfer dude?
No, that's what I wanted to look like. No, without being pregnant. Yeah, I just wanted to look like a little surfer dude.
Do you feel like you achieved that look?
I feel like it was nice to be able to put my hair in a ponytail.
Yeah.
That feeling is just very nice.
It is.
Yeah, but I didn't look like myself. I didn't feel like myself. I couldn't fit in clothes that I like that make me feel like myself. It
Yeah.
was a
I mean, we
very
were shopping for you in like a maternity section, I think you had a breakdown in the Target fitting room, remember?
probably multiple times. I mean, everything says like "Mama Bear," "Mama,"
Mommy to
and
be,
just
mama's
like
love.
from the beginning, I knew I wasn't going to want to be called mom, and I'm not called mom,
Hmm.
and so I knew that is how
Hmm.
we're going to refer to our little one. Um, was not going to call me mom. He was going to call me D, and that I was going to be his parent and not his mom. Like it's what feels true to like who I am.
Hmm.
So then having to like buy these like ruched like everything with like flowers and ruffles of like something that will just like
And
fit.
like bedazzled things.
Yeah,
That's like plus size clothes that I
yeah.
have to, when I have to go shopping, everything has a fucking rhinestone on it. Like, do fat people want to wear rhinestones? I don't know. What is it? And this is a very fat positive statement, by the way,
Hmm.
not to take away from this conversation, but go ahead, Dale.
Maternity clothes suck is
Yeah.
basically what it comes down to.
And also, like, this is just our experience that for the people who do embrace, Mama Bear and Mommy to Be and all of the
Hmm.
really, there are some cute maternity clothes. Like, we don't want to take away from that. But I think when you are talking about a queer couple and somebody who maybe doesn't identify in the most feminine way, and how do you navigate the layers of that as your body's changing, you're getting real booby, your belly's getting big, and I don't have a uterus, and I was like, oh, I wish I could experience something like this. There was a lot, like, in
Yeah.
safety wise, what would it be like if you had a big belly and short hair versus a big belly and long hair? I mean, just the considerations for a queer couple when planning a family run so deep and are so layered. So, not to take away from people who have children and feel maternal and all sorts of way, but I think it's important for us to talk about, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anybody that has a uterus can be pregnant. It's not women who
Right.
can be pregnant.
Yes.
And I think that's something that is not talked about enough. I mean, luckily we had that queer birth class. It's
Oh,
like real
yeah.
inclusive.
That was so awesome.
Hmm.
It was a Zoom queer birth class from a doula who lives on the East Coast. And so, if anybody is interested, listening and planning a family, we would love to pass this person's information to you. It really helped prep us and prepare us. And they were great. Yeah.
Even though nothing can prepare you
No,
for parentage.
nothing could have prepared me for your birthing process, which will be an entire another episode because there's a lot to unpack with that. As far as trauma and pain and fear. And never more in my life was I standing at the end of the bed going, thank God I didn't have a uterus anymore. Oh my God. And I remember
Yeah, wouldn't
thinking,
recommend.
yeah, multiple times, am I going to pass out? But I didn't. All that to say, Dale's a rock star. You took one for the team. And now we are 100% in this parent thing and have an amazing little one who you will hear many funny stories about, I'm sure.
I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about us and our story. And, and next week, I hope we figure out having a guest.
Yes. Super excited.
We'll let you do some planning.
And please, everybody, vote on our poll for a name. And we're open to ideas also. Just most of the things we were coming up with were all taken. Your feedback is much appreciated, not only on the poll, but also on more topics you want to hear about, questions you might have for us. And so just giving you all and us a platform to start from. And I'm going to get to planning over the next week for our first guest.
Yeah, we'll do all the planning and I will do all the horizontal laying.
Yes, the tech work. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We're really excited about this opportunity to have a lot of really fun and some important conversations with everyone and just create a sense of community. I can't wait to interact with you all and hope I can have you on the episode soon. Signing off. See you all soon.